I would like to call to order the July 16th, 2024 meeting of the Cloverdale Planning Commission at 6:01. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Cadle, if you could start us off, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Just doing a roll call.
Let the record reflect that all commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner Carney and Commissioner Acey.
Do we have any conflict of interest on any items listed on tonight's agenda?
Yes, I will be abstaining from item B3.
Okay. Moving into public hearings, we'll start with item B1, conditional use permit modification to allow minor medical service uses within an existing commercial building at 421 South Cloverdale Boulevard.
Thank you, Vice Chair. This is a use permit modification, again, to allow an orthodontist to locate at 421 North Cloverdale Boulevard. This is the old Tin Young building at the they call it the Penny Fair Center. The orthodontist will initially operate for 15 hours a week with likely expansion in the future. They do have an office in Healdsburg as well, and they have a lot of clients up here, so they like to be able to spread it out and make it easier for parents and people to get their orthodontist appointments. Really, there's really not a lot to see here. I mean, part of our zoning ordinance is a little bit older, and it just happens to require a use permit for this. From a staff's perspective, we really don't see any problem with this use going in here. There's plenty of parking. It's just the fact that it actually, in the zoning ordinance requires the use permit is why we're here. But from our perspective, there's really no issues with this use in that particular location. So I don't know if I missed anything, Ralph? Or?
Yeah, I'll just reiterate that this is a modification, a requested modification to a previously approved use permit in 2008, around the time that the building was originally designed and developed, I guess. The Planning Commission approved a resolution approving a list of different uses that didn't need to apply for further use permits or plot plans from the city to locate in the building. And just to name a couple of things, from antique stores to bicycle shops, cleaning and pressing establishments, and department stores and jewelry stores, locksmith shops, newspaper and magazine stores, and several others. But minor medical uses is what this orthodontist office or practice fits into. Minor medical uses was not included in that use permit. So essentially what they're asking for is just to add the use minor medical uses or minor medical service uses, which the orthodontist fits into, to be added to this list. So essentially that's what the attached resolution would supersede. It mentions that the first condition essentially says that the following conditions would replace all the conditions in 1708, which was the old use permit. So that, from a staff's perspective, when you're dealing with two different use permits, it's easier just to kind of supersede the old one and go with the new one. Going forward, it makes it clear for staff and everybody else that this new resolution has superseded the old one. So, that's essentially staff would recommend that the Planning Commission would adopt the attached resolution to approve the modification to the use permit. And the applicant is here to answer any questions if the commission has as well.
Okay, we'll bring it back to the commission then for discussion. Anybody have any comments on it? Okay. We will open it to the public for public comment at this time. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on item B1? No, let the record show there's no public comments. Can I get a motion for item B1?
I'll move that we approve conditional use permit
I'll
in
second.
item B1.
I'll second that.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Waggy,
Aye.
Commissioner Cadle,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chair Springler.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Moving on to item B2, planned sign permit to paint city-related mural on south building facade at 207 North Cloverdale Boulevard.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so as you mentioned, this next application is for a planned sign permit. In real terms, it's a mural, and as our code goes right now, we don't have something that kind of fits a mural application. So what the staff has done is treated this like the sign that was placed similarly by the Chamber of Commerce a couple years ago, and it's since, like I said, since we don't have something that fits the mural category, we called it a off-site sign, which the route to approve an off-site sign is the planned sign program. That's essentially why we're here, for the public hearing of the mural. And
Just to add real quick, we are working on an art program for downtown. We're just not there yet, and we knew this one was coming, so we used what we had to get this forward so they can get going on it. But the art program should be up and running in the next few months, and it has some specific things about these types of projects, but I think I'll just leave it there. And I know you guys are excited to give your presentation, so just let me know when you want to advance the slide.
Hi, everyone. Hi. My name's Jade Weymouth. I'm the Executive Director at La Familia Sana. As Kevin shared, we've been in conversations for a mural for about a year now, and this is where we are. And we're really proud of the work we've done. So if you move on to the next slide, we can share with you what we've done. A little bit about La Familia Sana for folks who don't know. We are a local Cloverdale-based organization. We serve underserved folks here in our community as well as in Geyserville. So part of our work is to co-create equitable and culturally cognizant solutions for long-term needs such as healthcare, jobs, food, and education in our community. We've done that in partner with Alexander Valley Healthcare. We've also done that in partnership with the city of Cloverdale. And then we've also worked with lots of folks throughout Sonoma County to bring more resources up to our community, which includes food, food farm to pantry, as well as some housing assistance funds that we have with the Community Foundation of Sonoma County. So next slide. So as Kevin shared, last year we came across this beautiful grant, California Arts Council, and the goal of our grant that we wrote was to ask the teens of our local high school their vision of Cloverdale's future. So we did that by going to, well, I'll go into that. You all can go into that, sorry, jumping ahead. But I'll share the why. So we wanted to ask our teens what they envisioned for Cloverdale's future. And we wanted them to be co-designers in this process. Oftentimes we see our teens left out of these conversations, both on a local as well as on a county and a federal level, what they want for their community. And believe it or not, your teens want the same thing as many adults do. So we're really excited to share the outcome of their visioning for the future of Cloverdale and this mural. I'm going to pass this along to Laura, who's going to share our partnerships, because it didn't just take one organization, it took 3 organizations plus some support by the city and the Cloverdale Unified School District to make this vision possible. So Laura?
Thank you, Jade. So yes, my name is Laura Reguid. I'm the Director of Community Engagement, and we were so lucky to be able to collaborate with Kimson Creative as well as Blanca Creative. So I will pass on the microphone so they can tell you a little bit more, but I have to tell you that we are so lucky to have them work with us and collaborate with us in making this possible, especially having Blanca as a local artist and being able to talk to students. It was a great example and role model for all of those high school students. Thank you.
Hi, Commissioners. Next slide, please. My name is Nico Kimson. I'm the founder and lead consultant at Kimson Creative. We're an arts and equity consulting group, and we work within the county with Creative Sonoma, the county's arts agency, as well as public art departments for other jurisdictions and cities like the city of Santa Rosa. And lucky enough to be in collaboration with y'all and La Familia Sana. We really partnered with La Familia Sana to create a community-led approach in how are we uplifting and sourcing the hopes and dreams of our youth to inform a mural. And so the project team facilitated 3 40-minute workshops within our high school to various classes, collecting their dreams for the future of Cloverdale. Next slide, please. We asked them questions on where we are in Cloverdale, where we're going, and how we might get there as it relates to health and wellness, environmental justice, housing, transportation, representation, arts and culture, agriculture, and education. Next slide, please. And as you can see, we had them write down their thoughts. They drew out their thoughts as well that we also used for source material for our mural. Creating the mural, all of these ideas that were reflected, we took all of that data, we synthesized that data into a report that then came up with key findings of what the youth wanted to see in each of those categories. And that was transferred beautifully by the amazing Blanca Molina, who will talk next, to help inspire this work as an artistic interpretation of that. We had these 2 options, option A and option B, that Blanca created to then share out with the community. Next slide, please. And then we went in further with our community engagement process to a community share back with options A and B, and we had them in person at La Familia Sana window where 97 people voted. We also had them on Instagram and Facebook, which we had over about 100 people engage with us, with also 21 shares as well, with a lot of excitement in helping us decide which option felt like the best representation of Cloverdale. And so now I'm going to bring up, after our community engagement process, Blanca to share a little bit more about the inspiration for the mural and how we took data and how that informed her artistic interpretation.
So hello everyone, my name is Blanca Molina and I'm a local graphic designer and artist. Next slide please. Thank you. So based on the data we collected from the high school students, I wanted to create a mural that would make people happy when they see it and immediately want to learn more about it and what it represents. I also wanted our current residents to be proud of their hometown and let people who visit Cloverdale know that we are a diverse community with lots to offer. Next slide, please. I'm hoping that it also inspires our teens to keep making Cloverdale into a better place by creating more jobs, opportunities, better housing and transportation, which you can see represented in the E and the R. And also hope that we don't necessarily have to move away to create the opportunities we want when we can create them here in our hometown. And of course, I hope this also inspires local artists to bring more public art to Cloverdale. Next slide, please.
Amazing. And then answering the questions of where it will be, right around the corner, right here on the Encore Dance Theater in collaboration with the owner of that theater. Next slide. And when will it happen? So we did our engagement process with the youth throughout the end of the school year. We've taken this time to do some drafts and other community engagement that just concluded with La Familia Sana. And now we're headed into materials and supplies for the painting to begin with community members in August and throughout the month of August to have a completed project by the end of August. Next slide. As you can see, we are here to be stewards and uplift the hopes and dreams of our youth and what that looks like in an engaging public art piece that really shares back the resiliency, the vibrancy of the people of Cloverdale. So we thank you in supporting us help make that happen.
Thank you. We'll bring it to the commission for discussion. Anybody want to start?
It's great to me.
I
just have a question. One question.
Sure.
Will the high school students be involved in the actual execution? Painting?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was questions. Yes, there will be. Yeah. So we had a sign up list throughout our workshops for the high schoolers that were interested in partaking and joining us paint, and then we'll also infuse a couple of other community members that are connected to La Familia Sana as well.
I did have some comments. I think it's really beautiful. I think it's really inclusive, and it's really representative of Cloverdale. But there was just something that I had thought of from quite a long time ago that we had. It was like a competition, and we came up with a town slogan that was "Where the vineyards meet the redwoods," and I think that was actually brought up by a high school student, wasn't it? And it had gotten me thinking that a redwood is more indicative of what, you know, or that slogan. And you know, we don't really have a lot of cactus here in Cloverdale, and maybe making a redwood and some vineyards in that spot might be a better selection that represents Cloverdale a little bit more closely. And then it ties in with our slogan that, if I don't know for sure if it's still on the sign at the end of town. Does anybody know? We used to have it at the end of town up by Hamburger Ranch.
We have a different sign now, but.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one fell down.
We do have kind of the river and the redwood, the vineyards, like a design, but not the words.
Okay, just that was, I mean, because it is a really good description of Cloverdale, and that is where we're at. And I think that having the vineyards in it, or grapevines in it, is, you know, kind of ties in with the tourism that we see here, and just a lot of what's around us. And I thought that I hate to change somebody's art, because I know how passionate people are about art, but I just think that where the redwoods meet the vineyards is a better example of Cloverdale than a cactus, is my only comment. And I love everything about it. Otherwise, I think it's a gorgeous mural.
Yeah, can I respond to that? Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Vice Chair, for that. So as you can see in going to the redwoods and the vineyard comment, that is something we did hear from youth, right? Being surrounded by nature, being immersed into the iconography of the land itself. And if we were to zoom in on the V right there, those rolling hills in the background, that is an artistic representation of a vineyard, as opposed to if you were to zoom in, you would see like grapes or something, right? So in those hills rolling in the back, that is intended to be an artistic representation of a vineyard. And then right next to that, on the vertical part of the V itself, you will see redwoods in the background with the sun coming up behind it. So those two were mentioned in there as well. What I do want to say about the nopal is an artistic expression of what we heard from the youth, right? There's a lot of cultural significance in nopal. They do exist here in Cloverdale. And just there's something beautiful about the poetry that we heard that was about a cactus being resilient within the desert and still producing fruit, and that is culturally significant to the communities that we heard from. And so I think as a redwood and a vineyard is culturally significant to a lot of people in Cloverdale, so is also the iconography that kind of mixes in with Mexican identity and the nopal that are also native to this place as well. So I guess the question that I would have for the Vice Chair and the commissioners is, are we taking commissioner input for feedback for the mural and expecting that to adjust the artist's representation? And what policies do we have around commissioner feedback and artistic?
Well, this is, we're using what we have to evaluate the project. There's not real specific, and even in the proposed art program guidelines, there's things like there can't be advertising, there can't be religious iconography and things like that. So this is art, so it's tough because
it's subjective, yeah.
It's subjective, and there's not a lot of guidance. And even, again, in the proposed art program that we're moving forward through the council, doesn't get into that level of detail other than just no advertising and things like, the artist needs to maintain the work and make sure if the graffiti and if it gets damaged. So I think I would definitely encourage you to give your feedback and see, if they are willing to maybe listen to that and And maybe, I don't know, maybe we can talk about it and just see if there's anything. I know you guys put a lot of work into getting to where you are at this point.
We're just creating artistic boundaries for ourselves, because if who sways what opinion, because if we open the floodgates to community to come in and provide artistic interpretation and guidance, it gets a little difficult. So we want
Never
to
end.
be democratic. Yeah. Which I hear you, and I love that slogan. I'm like, that's a great mural. Let's create another mural. Yeah, so I would encourage, and these beautiful visions that you have in the iconography of Cloverdale, how can that expand past this project to include others? So yes, I think for that, I appreciate that comment. But yeah, does anybody else have any other comments of?
Commissioner Waggy, do you have any comments on?
Well, I did have a similar thought about, I wasn't thinking about the slogan, but I was thinking about redwood trees. But the nopal is it's in La Familia Sana's logo, so it's pretty central to that idea as well. So we can't do everything, I guess.
Yeah. Or keep that and just have Cloverdale, and then where we have Saludos from, maybe it could be something in there too, and just have Cloverdale and have, and keep what's central to the cultures and stuff that you speak of, which is important, and then add the redwood to the vineyards. I was just thinking that we still have those signs, and that was still our slogan, and tying it into, because it is in like the center of town. I was thinking that would be, a really nice place to kind of tie it all together and bring that concept back in. That was my only thought on it.
I have not seen that slogan yet, but I would love to follow up to get what those signs look like and the imagery from that campaign, and see where that might be in consideration and present it to the artist to see if that would be a viable option.
Yeah.
And if not, I think what a beautiful other option. And then I drove past 3 other walls that I was like, oh, those are mural walls as well.
Yeah, it was a competition that was done in like maybe the early 2000s, and I want to say it was a high school student that ended up coming with the slogan and the design. I could be off because it's been a few years, but that's just what it reminded me of, and that's what, because that is like a good example of what Cloverdale is, because that's where we're at, and we're in such a unique location that, redwoods only exist in such a small part of the world, and we have, and vineyards are a huge part of our culture. So that was my input. Anybody else?
I have one other. As far as maintaining it, I didn't quite understand what it said in the write-up. There were a couple of examples of it being destroyed and something else, but sometimes murals fade, especially blue seems to fade. When you see them after a little while, they look pretty tired. Is there going to be some kind of a ongoing program, not only if somebody defaces it, but if it fades or if it gets, weathered, something like that?
Yeah, I'll let Jade answer that. Thank you.
So part of our agreement with Marvin as well as with Ashlyn is that it will be there for 5 years, and we will maintain it for those 5 years, whether it's weather damage, natural occurring damage, as well as graffiti. And then after the 5 years, they have an option of whether or not they want to keep it up there or not. And then if they decide to have it taken down, La Familia Sana will be in charge of covering it. And then if they decide to keep it, then we will also be in charge of maintaining it. So at 5 years, we will reassess that contract, and then we'll re-sign something else in place.
Is that contract also contingent should you guys move facilities?
Well, even if we move facilities, we will still be here based in Cloverdale.
Okay.
I mean, we're not there on that wall either. We're further down the way.
Do you know, are there cameras on that wall just with the amount of graffiti that?
I haven't checked. I know historically, and I'm sure Nico and Blanca might have more information, walls that have art on them generally are less graffitied than walls that are blank canvases. So we can talk to some neighbors about that. I know City Hall's right across the way, as well as the police department. But we can talk to some neighbors about that. And an easy little fix would be getting a small little camera, like a Ring camera.
Yeah, even as a deterrent, because we'd hate to see it destroyed after all this effort is put into it.
Yeah.
Okay, are any other comments from commission?
Is there any type of like clear coat sealant or anything that'll be the final coating
I believe
for
we
it?
chatted about that, some like anti-graffiti sealant over it. So we have that on our supply list that will be covering the art itself.
There's no other comments from commission, then we will open it up for public comment.
Okay.
Are there any members of the public that would like to comment on item B2?
Hello, my name is Bertha Diaz. I've lived here my entire life in Cloverdale. Love the idea of the mural. I've recently been following the Cloverdale page, and as you notice, there's a lot of graffiti going on at the Dollar General wall. So having murals would definitely prevent all this graffiti in our city limits. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other additional comments?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Andrea Godinez, and I am a community health worker for La Familia Sana. And the only comment that I have is the experience of seeing everybody voting. So seeing the kids, adults, everyone was extremely excited to be able to just have their voice heard. And it was very exciting, and I would just like to mention that the public is equally as excited. So just voting was a very fun experience, and it was involved. Everyone that was passing by, everyone, we were making sure to have everyone's vote. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no other comments from the commission. Can I get a motion?
Okay. I move that we accept
B2.
B2, that we adopt a resolution that would approve the proposed sign.
Can I get a second?
Aye.
Okay. And can I get a roll call?
Commissioner Waggy,
Aye.
Commissioner Cadle,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chair Spengler.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
All right. Okay, moving on to item B3, conditional use permit allowing an existing single-family residence to be used as a non-hosted vacation rental at 214 Commercial Street.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Just a little background. In 2015, the City Council adopted an ordinance. If you're going to, Commissioner Williams, if you're going to recuse yourself, you should step off the dais. Yeah. Thank you. In 2015, the council adopted an ordinance amending or allowing the establishment of non-hosted vacation rentals as well as hosted vacation rentals. This is only allowed in 3 different zones, which is the downtown, which is kind of the core down here, and then office residential, which flanks the downtown, and then general commercial. So there are some homes in commercial areas where it would be allowed. Along with that ordinance, they adopted operating conditions, and you can see that in the resolution. Those were included in the conditions of approval, hours of operation, parking, things like that, and the payment of the TOT for the city. Just one really important thing to note about this permit, it's a conditional permit, so that if we do receive complaints about these, it comes back to the Planning Commission, and we can have the ability to do that at any time. If we get neighbor complaints or the police calls, things like that, it'll come back to the Planning Commission, where you can either modify the conditions of approval, make them tougher, or you can revoke the permit. So that's kind of the background. I don't know if you want to talk more specifically about the proposed proposal itself, Ralph, like,
Sure, yeah, Kevin covered most of the stuff. But yeah, as he mentioned, when the council adopted the regulations for hosted and non-hosted vacation rentals, they came up with standard development regulations, and all 12 of those regulations or standards are included in the conditions of approval, and some of them, include a requirement to provide adjacent neighbors with contact information, and like Kevin said about TOT and the maximum number of guests and parking. And speaking of parking, the code does require like one parking space essentially per room being rented, and there's 3 bedrooms in the house, and the driveway is able to supply 3 parking spaces essentially, so covers that part. And yeah, as Kevin mentioned, there's a code, a condition also about hours, like outside noise, from essentially quiet hours from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. outside, things like that. So other than that, yeah, staff, that's basically, sorry.
just, we were talking earlier, there's one other in town, right? Well, there was one that went through the process.
Yeah, just to give a little, I guess, background or summary, since 2018, the city's only had actually one applicant. Yeah, one non-hosted application, and that was approved in, I think, 2019 or 20. And I believe that one's no longer in use, and it's on the same street. It was in the 100 block, just down the street on Commercial Street. So this would only be the second one that's actually applied since 2018, and since the other one is no longer in use, this would really be the only like new non-hosted vacation rental, aside from some of the existing ones, like the old. There's some bed and breakfasts that are kind of still around, but those aren't really not vacation rentals. But there's a vacation rental kind of behind Pix, and there's a vacation rental above the salon, right near on Main Street, near the post office. That so there's a 1 or 2 rooms above that. But other than that, there's a handful of non-host or hosted ones. But yeah, so in a nutshell, this really would be the second. But should the commission approve this, would be the second one that the commission has approved since 2018. But it would be the only one that in existence, I guess, since the other one went away.
Again, so I think the council was pretty cautious when they started to talk about the opportunity for non-hosted vacation rentals. That's why the rules are there, and it's very clear that if the rules are violated, that this is a permit that can easily come back to the Planning Commission, again, for modification of conditions or revocation of the permit. I think the council's goal in this was to help kind of spur tourism. There's a certain type of folks who don't want to stay in hotel rooms, and they figured this was a good way to bolster tourism. And again, it was very limited in scope in where it was allowed. I think the downtown corridor and the flanking roads on either side of the Cloverdale Boulevards basically constitutes the most of where these can be placed. So, I mean, I think from our perspective, it's a pretty good location for this type of use. To the south is a vacant parking lot. I think that's the food pantry. And then to the north, there is a residence who also, I meant to let you know that Robert Cole, the owner of 218 Commercial Street, did submit that correspondence that we emailed to you earlier, and it's included in the packet. So there was some concerns in there that we can discuss if you'd like.
Okay, we'll open it up to the commission for comment, for discussion.
Mr. Cole wrote rather forcefully, I thought. He raised several points about potential, downside of having that operation going on. What is the threshold for a complaint that would bring it back to the Planning Commission, and who would be the one that would do that? Who
I don't think it's defined, but I think it would be up to us. I wouldn't bring it back if there was one complaint, but if there was several complaints, we would. Again, it's not clearly defined, but I think there was something similar on the Sawmill Saloon when that use permit was approved. So it would be probably up to our discretion if we started receiving complaints. And I think our first strategy would be to work with the property owner to, is there something in there about it? I can't see that.
I'll read it. Yeah, there isn't a, number, it's not numerical, if you get 5 complaints and it comes back, it simply says that this is condition number 6, that this permit shall be subject to revocation or modification by the planning commission if the commission finds that there has been any of the following. A, non-compliance with any of the foregoing conditions, or B, this is the one that kind of talks about bringing it back for complaints, I guess. The commission finds that the use for which this permit is hereby granted is so exercised as to be substantially detrimental to persons or property in the neighborhood of the use. Any such revocation shall be preceded by a public hearing. So it's essentially that. It's does the commission feel that the use has been exercised so as to be substantially detrimental to persons or property in the neighborhood? So it's kind of up to this, it leaves discretion to the commission and staff, I guess, if the use has been exercised substantially detrimental.
And how are reports on that being brought to us or brought to our attention?
We would make the determination to bring it back, and then you
Okay.
would make the determination if it's detrimental as defined there.
So the neighbors would have to come to you or the police department or
Yeah.
somebody like that and complain?
One thing that I was thinking about that I kind of don't like about it, and it's not the rental in itself, it is our rules. And one of those is the availability of the owner when these situations could arise, right? Like, it says they're supposed to be available by phone 24 hours a day, but some things require an in-person de-escalation or whatever it may be, and that's difficult to do when somebody's living in the South Bay or something like that. And I almost feel like, and again, it's not specific to this location, but it should be specific to our rules that maybe that need some modifications, which is there needs to be a management service if the host is, X miles out of the territory, then they need to have a management service. I think that might change it to a hosted rental. I'm not.
Like a local representative or a local.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I feel like that's really important because, we're saying these people need to be available 24/7, but, some people keep their phone on vibrate and don't answer it at 3 a.m. when there is a problem. And that location is a great location as far as proximity to downtown and all of the things that make Cloverdale great and that people visiting want to go see. But it's also right across the street from the Grange Hall, and I could definitely see people deciding to stay there who are going to some sort of function at the Grange Hall, and then the Grange is like, okay, we cut off at this time, and everybody's like, yeah, let's just go across the street. And there's no local representation here to be available when situations like that happen. Then the cops get called, and then nobody's in charge, and I think there's too much open interpretation to abiding by the owner's rules. I noticed it said that a lot of the rules of the property are at the owner's discretion. And again, it's not specific to that property, but maybe it's something that we as a city need to make better rules upon and better clarification to prevent those things from happening. Because you would think that everybody wants to be, a good neighbor and set good rules, but they can be broken unless the city's saying, these are our rules. So that's just my thought, is that we really kind of need to tighten up some of these rules. We need to tighten up what is our discretion, what is that gray area and that threshold for bringing it back here. Those are some of my thoughts. Again, it's not specific to that property. It's specific to our rules that maybe need more clarification and a little bit, more backbone in them.
I mean, there's innumerable examples of tourist cities who are grappling with this and have great rules. Again, this will be our first one. It's our second. Well, we permitted one, but it didn't make it, I guess. So I hear what you're saying. I think that's why they built in the ability to have it come back. And there's gray area for sure. I mean, it's there.
I mean, it's difficult because, or challenging because, you know, in a lot of those vacation cities where there's a ton of Airbnbs, people who own homes there know what to expect and know that their neighbors could be having an Airbnb, where here it's very different. And, you know, having constant in and out, kind of unregulated in and out from your neighbor of different people, I could see that as being challenging when it's not necessarily a tourist town. So, any other comments?
I believe the Sonoma County ordinance on vacation rentals, especially short-term non-hosted, do say that you have to have a contact within a certain amount of miles of the property. So this falls under the same guidelines as that, pretty much, right? There would have to be a point of contact if there was a noise complaint besides just calling the police.
No, they would fall under our rules.
They would do it all.
I mean, that's a good idea. I think this has been on the books for a while, and we just haven't really used it, so we haven't experienced the problems yet. And you know, there could be very well a good argument to take a look at these and modify them, or this could go off and we won't have any problems. And as more come online, you know, maybe it's a time to look at these rules. That would be, you know, at council direction if they wanted us to take a look at these. There's some stuff there. I mean, there is. It's not like it's, you know, just a blank slate, but they may not be as detailed as we need.
Can we add a condition such as that to the,
Yeah, I don't know, because it's specific to one property, so I don't know that we're allowed to.
no, to the use permit?
Or to the use permit, yeah.
We could add something. We could add
Because-
something about having a local contact. I don't know, is the applicant may be here. Maybe we can ask him, you know. But we can certainly amend the conditions to include a contact. We can, well, I don't want to speculate on what Sonoma County says, but we can come up with something right now that makes sense. You can ask him to come down if you want.
Would you like to speak? Please.
State your name when you come down. Thank you.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Ross Johansson. I'm the son of Craig Johansson, who is the owner of the home. The issues you guys brought up, we've really also been thinking about those and how we can mesh well with your guys' goals. A couple of things that I wanted to point out were that the home built in 1910 is in keeping with the historical roots of Cloverdale. It's a craftsman bungalow home that is not been changed on its facade or exterior, and the interior of the home is also quite detailed and well preserved. So I do think that is something that the public should be able to experience, and tourists that might be visiting Cloverdale, I do think would have a good appreciation for Cloverdale's history staying in the home. As for the concerns with the public noise disturbances, with any type of harmony issues with the rest of the neighborhood, we do plan on having rules for the guests, and we also I don't want you guys to be under the impression that this home will be used 24/7 as a vacation rental. Part of our reason for wanting this conditional use permit is my father's current condition is he's being treated for metastatic prostate cancer. He needs to receive that treatment in San Francisco, and he needs to be staying there. So while he is undergoing his treatment, and then in the future, we do want this as an option, but this will not, we aren't intending for this to be a every single week, 30 days a month type of rental. It should be less than that. I would like to make myself available to questions from you guys and help in any way I can.
You don't happen to have a copy of the house rules, do you? Or is it just basically the main template that Airbnb or VBRO uses?
Correct. But we are certainly open to whatever rules. The rules here in the conditions of approval, those obviously will be followed to the letter.
And what proximity is the contact that would be called the 24-hour
So,
day
so
contact?
we're really close with the community here. We've got two main contacts. One of them lives right here on Main Street, so a block away. The other lives out on River Road, and then we ourselves have another property on River Road at 25840, where there's normally a family member. So we are still in the city of Cloverdale, and this is my father's house specifically that is up for the conditional use permit.
I did notice, this would be a question for you, is that I noticed that, and I don't know if it makes a difference, but just a technicality, that the sons, I assume, are the applicants, but then the owner is the father, so I don't know if if everybody needs to be involved for the consent of it, being the property owner and the, sorry. And
We submitted a durable power of attorney for my father, and I have a copy of that
Okay.
here as well.
All right, understood.
And it's attached with the application.
Okay. Do you guys have any other questions for him? Are you commissioners?
No.
So professional.
Have you read the letter that Robert Cole wrote to the city and submitted?
I have not. This is the first time I've
Okay.
been made
I
aware
wouldn't want
of
to
it.
ask you questions based on if you hadn't had a chance to read that then.
How would I obtain a copy?
After you through the.
Yeah, it came in a couple hours before the meeting, but we can furnish you a copy.
Thank you.
I think it's on the website, but yeah, it's on the website, but we'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Waggy, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I don't think, no,
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. Are there any other people in the public that would like to speak?
I could also add, there were a couple, just as I was listening to the other reviews, where the vineyards meet the redwoods slogan, that's actually right. One of the original signs is in the back of our home. So the Cloverdale Historical Society Museum has that in an alleyway that is accessed about 20 yards from our back gate. And one of the paths that guests can take to the main drag here in the middle of town is through that alley. And that sign, I point out to every single guest or friend that comes. And I did want to catch the last applicants and point them in the direction of that sign. But we are, again, like really smack in the middle of downtown Cloverdale. So I think the location could be better for tourism and local business traction.
Being that this is a property that has zero lot line, you guys basically share a fence, with the neighbor to the north. Does your allow pets at the VRBO?
We are saying no. Currently, the answer is no.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Would any other members of the public like to comment at this time? Thank you. Okay, wonderful. All right, we'll bring it back to Commission for further discussion. I do think that we do need to have a point of contact that is local. What radius that is in. I mean, obviously, he's got somebody local here, but it's specific to any future non-hosted.
Let's,
Thank you.
if you want to, if you could come up if you want to say something, because people they can't hear you. Okay.
Yeah, when they're not in town, I'm around. I'm the one that takes care of the vineyard, and I've been taking care of the house when they're not here. So as soon as this gets into motion, then I'm the contact person. Bill knows who I am.
Very good. Thank you very much. Okay. So yeah, let's, if we can amend the ordinance to have, I think it should be 2 contacts, right? So a primary and a backup within, I don't know, 30 miles, say, like Santa Rosa, I think is, because somebody could always find a rental management company and say Santa Rosa that's available. I mean, that kind of takes the burden if somebody chooses to use a management company, that takes the burden off of them of being called at odd hours should there be a problem with the property.
Is that kind of the way the county provision?
I'd have to look back at it. I want to say it's 20 miles, but have to look back to verify.
I think we can make it a little bit different just because we're a little bit more rural.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
right, because like Santa Rosa, you got a lot more resources within 20 miles than you do here.
What we can do is, we're doing frequent zoning amendments, so it's better to lump some of those together
Yeah.
because it's kind of a lot of work. But what I'll do is, I'll bring up your suggestion at the Planning Sustainability Subcommittee, which has 2 council members on it, see if it gets traction. 'Cause typically, the council directs the changes, but I mean, I'm sure that this makes total sense, and so we can bring that up, and then when we do our next round of zoning changes, which is probably be this year, or we can include that one if there's support at the council level.
Okay. I did see that it is limited to 6 guests, and that maybe needs to be clarified as well. In that, is it 6 guests that can stay the night, and there can be other guests up till a certain time? Because that's vague.
Overnight guests, maybe,
Yeah,
something like that.
right,
Yeah.
so 6 overnight guests, overnight being that, what is it, the 10 o'clock curfew?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think we just went with 2 people per bedroom, but that could be clarified.
Right, I mean, you're staying in town, you've got friends or family that might want to come visit, it's fair, but 6 overnight guests. That may have been everything I had for it. Yep. Anybody else? Commissioner Waggy, you look like you're thinking hard on something.
No, I've been on the other end of Airbnb rentals, as a tenant many times, and it always seems like there's always something that usually has to be, involves a phone call, maybe somebody has to come out and change a battery, like in the front door lock, or that was the last one, but the heater doesn't work, or something like that. So I think it is important that there be close, help, not only, for the tenants as well as for the neighbors if there's an issue with, something going on.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Commissioner Cato?
No other comments at this time? No.
Can I get a motion?
I will motion to approve the conditional use permit for B3 of allowing existing single-family residence to be used as a non-hosted vacation rental at 214 Commercial Street.
And I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Waggy,
Aye.
Commissioner Cadle,
Aye. Sorry.
Vice Chair Springler,
Aye.
motion passes 3-0.
And that's it, right? Since we're.
I'll just do a quick director's report. I just want to mention that Commissioner Cadle at the next council meeting will be bringing you up to regular member of the Planning Commission. The mayor approved that. Also, Commissioner Acey will be on for another 4 years. His term was up this month, so.
Awesome.
At the next Planning Commission. And then we're currently recruiting to backfill the alternate left by your moving up.
Great. Okay, then, we're going to adjourn to the next regular meeting of the Planning Commission, scheduled for September 3rd, because August 6th, 2024 will be canceled.
Correct.
Okay, I adjourn this meeting at
September 3rd.
6:56.